about Allah and the only exception. The statement was, nobody has authority to make a case except whoever Allah gives permission. They have no knowledge except whoever He wants to give knowledge to. Otherwise they know nothing. وَلَا يُحِيطُونَ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنْ عِلْمِهِ إِلَّا بِمَا شَاءَ. The fourth and the sixth sentence are correlated. The first and the ninth, the second and the eighth, the third and the seventh, the fourth and the sixth. What's left? Middle sentence?
Yes.
He says, يَعْلَمُ مَا بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمَا خَلْفَهُمْ. Oh my God, He says He knows what is ahead of them and what is behind them. As though, and He knew what is coming ahead in the ayah and what was behind in the ayah. He put in the middle of it is, I know what's ahead and I know what's behind. Who speaks like that? Who speaks like that? SubhanAllah. The way in which Allah talks, the way in which Allah delivered this speech. And I want you to be cognizant of a fact. The fact is, we now read the Qur'an as a book. We read it as a text. We say sentence number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Did the Sahaba do that? Did the Rasul himself, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, says, look at sentence number 1 and sentence number 9 and 2 and 8 and 3 and 7? No, because he was just what? Speaking. He was speaking the Qur'an. We are able to see these things when they're put in writing. The Qur'an was so perfect when it was being given in speech. And which has more possibility of mistake? When you write something or when you say something? Oh man, when you say something, it's hard to take it back. Especially if it's on YouTube. It's hard. But if you're writing a nasty email, then you can, before you hit send, erase that and just say Eid Mubarak and then send it. You have a chance to take it back. But when you're saying something, it's done. There's no room to edit. There's no room to fix. Allah Azza wa Jal revealed this Qur'an not in writing. He revealed it in speech. He revealed it in speech. You know, I've sat with linguists, non-Muslim linguists, and I've shared some of these things with them, and they refuse to believe that the Qur'an is spoken. They refuse to believe it. They say it has to be written. It can't be spoken. I was like, you're right, it is written, just not in this world. It is written. You know, it's fi lawh al-mahfuz. It is written. But it was given to Rasulullah as speech. So it would become very clear to anybody who listens, this cannot be from a human being. The last bit that I want to share with you tonight, inshaAllah ta'ala, is something that it requires some very serious thinking. And I want you guys, inshaAllah ta'ala, to pay as best attention as you can. There's one last concept I want to share with you, and maybe I'm in a good mood, so I'll share one more example with you too. One of my favorite examples. But the concept I want to share with you. You know, if I was to pick up an article about taqwa, or if I pick up an article about iman, or I pick up an article about hadith, some subject in Islam, and I grab the mic and I start reading the article. Sometimes in the Muslim world, for example, the khutbah is written. And the imam goes up and he reads the khutbah. Even if you can't see the imam, because you're one of those awesome Muslims who's last to the Jumu'ah prayer and you're sitting by the shoes outside, right? If you're one of those awesome Muslims and you don't see the imam, can you tell that he's reading and not speaking? You can actually tell from his tone. You can tell from almost like, it's not natural language, because written language is very formal, right? You have longer sentences. As I'm speaking to you right now, when I'm speaking to you right now, I have made countless grammatical mistakes. I have repeated myself several times. I have repeated myself several times. I have repeated myself several times. If I was writing an article, would I repeat myself in this way? No, and actually if somebody transcribed my lecture, they would hopefully remove all of the repetition. You understand? And I say things like, you understand? Did you get that? Huh? But I don't write those things, do I? You don't see like H-E. Like, you don't get that in writing. What I'm trying to say is when you're speaking and when you're reading, people who know you can tell the difference especially. If your child, for example, memorized a piece of poetry, And you've never heard this poetry before, but they memorized it. And they came to you and they started reciting this poetry. Will you know that this is not something from your child? You will know. Like, where'd you get that from? No, I just said it. I made it up. I swear. No, you didn't make it up. Tell me where you got it from. You know? You can tell this is not his speech. There's a clear distinction between spoken word and written word. Written word is far more accurate, far too accurate to be natural. It doesn't occur naturally for people. They hesitate and stumble and make mistakes, etc., etc. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was among his people for 40 years. They argue in linguistics that people have speech patterns. People tend to use similar kinds of sentences. People tend to make the same kinds of mistakes when they speak. You know? They have add-ons, like I say, you know, a lot. That's my thing. I say, you know. I say that a lot, like, you know. So there's a pattern in speech. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam started reciting Qur'an, was it like his other speech? No. And can you immediately tell, wait, that's not how he talks. Nobody talks like that. I never heard anybody talk like that. What is that? You understand? They don't see a book in front of him. They don't see the angel giving him the book. They don't see any of it. But they can still tell this is not from him. This is from somewhere else. This is not from him. So when they heard it, they would call him a magician. Right? They would call him a magician. Now the thing with magic is something you're supposed to see. If I pulled a pigeon out of here right now, you know, if I pulled out a napkin from here and it kept on going, you know, then this would be something you see and you're impressed. Magic is usually and pretty much always something you see. The Quraysh are calling Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam a magician not because of something they see, but because of something they... Oh, that's weird. That's weird. They're so impressed by this speech, even though they don't believe, that they're ready to call it as impressive as magic. So we think when they called him a magician, they were insulting him. But actually they themselves didn't even realize they were accepting half the faith already. Because when you call something magic, you've already taken a leap of faith. You're saying, I have no other explanation. It's some mystical, unusual, paranormal activity that's going on here that I cannot describe through science or common sense. So I'm going to call it what? Magic. Well, you're already halfway there, buddy. You already said it's from the unseen. You know? You're already making that progress. So this is one of the concepts I want you to think about, inshallah ta'ala, in your studies of the Qur'an. Like I said, when I come back, hope